As has become traditional, we actually have a panel with the actual engineers who are writing code, and sort of put them on the hot seat a little bit and let you guys ask questions. First, I'm going to actually have these guys introduce themselves, maybe name, product, and location. How about, just to sort of keep it short.
I'm Subhasis. I'm a PBS developer, sort of function as an architect also. These days I run the engineering team, PBS engineering team. There are other teams, of course. So all the core dumps and null pointer exceptions that you see is our contribution. I work out of Bangalore. That's.
My name's Bhroam Mann. I'm work on the scheduler in PBS Pro, and I'm out of the Sunnyvale office.
Hello, I'm Ashwath. I'm based out of Bangalore office, and I am responsible for power awareness feature.
Hi, I'm Lisa Endrjukaitis. I'm a developer for PBS Professional, and I work out of the Sunnyvale office.
I'm Serguei Smirnov. I'm working on all these front-end products. Me and all the teams, we are working together, working out of Sunnyvale office. So anything related to front-end, please bring it on.
Hello, I'm Antoine Castin. I'm the software director for PBS Cloud, and we are based in France.
Okay, thank you. Well, to get things started, I have completely randomized these and then picked the ones that I liked and put them at the front. So first question, what is your favorite secret feature? Especially one that is underutilized.
Secret one. No one can see it. Okay, nice feature. Maybe the way we keep secret for our customer, in fact. We have a virtual vault to keep all secrets on the public platform that is linked to the customer secrets and also unblocked by the platform itself. So nobody sees it, but we keep it secure.
I don't know that secret meant secure in this context, but that was cool.
My favorite secret feature is now the open secret, this PBS access. We've been talking about it a lot. It was under the wraps for quite a while because we were trying to create it in a way that would work at least for one customer, so we're not advertising it a lot, but now it is out, so you can see our secret over the course of our presentations today and yesterday.
Secret feature. I don't think it's a secret anymore, but it wasn't documented before. PBS Notes minus AV. I was using it a lot.
I think there are no secrets anymore since we gone open source.
Open source is the secret feature. Not so secret, though.
He stole mine. I'm really happy with the fact we went open source and there is no more secret features and no more undocumented features. You can go to the source and find them yourself.
Not really a secret, but I think what is really underutilized is probably the provisioning feature, especially the application provisioning side of it, not the OS provisioning.
I can't believe you PBS Pro guys didn't talk about indirect resources. Anyway, next question.
I used indirect resources.
You used indirect resources? Oh, score. Thank you. Okay, next question. Probably just for those involved in the open source stuff. Did open source have a positive impact on code quality? And I'll modify this slightly. Or your engineering work, a positive impact on how you're doing engineering?
Define positive.
Better.
Okay, did I just get billed? Okay. Absolutely. I think there is no question about it. I think we did a whole bunch of work before we went open source. Cleaned up a bunch of stuff. wrote a lot of extra tests, automated a bunch of things. But after becoming open source, we also get a lot of contribution from the community, people testing things out. We have an online CI system running on Travis, free of cost, of course. There are contributions from the Czech Republic, which is made, allows PBS now to be built on Debian. Very small enhancements, bugs filed. A lot from Greg here.
Definitely. I think my favorite part is that we now publish our design documents on our open forums, and all you guys get to comment on them and let us know ahead of time, what you guys want.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's nice having direct access to our customers instead of potentially things getting lost through translation as it comes down to us. You guys can comment directly on the forum. Please do.
So also previously, only 2-3 developers used to review the code. Now since it's being open source, entire community can look at it. So code is always better compared to commercial.
Cool. I don't know if you guys want to comment about open source or if anything has changed in your lives because PBS Pro has gone open source.
I think it's great. I'm having more visibility into what is happening, and we are really relying on it. It's surprising that we're part of the same organization, and I was missing that aspect. I'm having it now.
I'm really well plugged in, and I'm actually also getting better visibility.
No real change in our side. We will propose some PBS Pro open source template to deploy, but nothing specific or crazy.
Okay, great. So I'm going to try 2 from here and just check on the audience to see, because now that you've been thinking and you didn't write anything down, but now you have a burning question. Okay, really? Smoking question, not burning yet? All right. Detailed questions. What mechanisms are available for changing the comment field of QStat? I don't know, for the comment field of QStat. Changing, sorry. Any one of you PBS guys, or any one of you non-PBS folks too,
Here you see why I'm talking about having more visibility. They even call us non-PBS guys. Okay.
Sorry. There's several comments. There's one on the nodes, there's one on the jobs, and there's actually now one on the queues. So queue manager sets the ones on the nodes and the jobs, the nodes and QStat.
You can set it via hooks. Is there any other mechanism to set a comment?
If you set the comment on a job, the scheduler is going to reset it the next cycle. So unless you hold the job, it's not going to stick.
You could do queue alter too, right?
Yeah. Queue alter.
Of course, if you want to be really, if you want to do it really in a roundabout way, shut down PBS, start up the database, log into the database, change the job comment, stop the database, restart PBS.
So,
just to have fun.
Well, to elaborate on that, because after hearing that question, I remembered one of the things that I was annoyed about is that when you do a QStat, the comment field is actually quite small, and it only shows the last comment, or the last thing that prevented the job from running. But there may be many things that that happened. One example is you've got a check for a software license. Software licenses aren't available. Also, not enough cores to run the job. I want to see all of those things somehow, and so I can do a trace job-z on the server, but my user can't do that. So they don't have all the details.
Bhroam, before handing it over to Bhroam, he ran an entire session on that one question.
Like you said, there's a lot of reasons, and there's only one place to put it. So the scheduler chooses one. It also bails after the first time it finds a reason the job can't run for speed reasons. If you want, you can file an RFP to get all of them. It would probably be an external command. So yeah, no, you don't want the slowdown scheduler like that, because it would be really slow.
Okay, I have two questions in a row here, and one is a little bit longer, but I think the second one actually sums up, in some sense, the answer to the first one and will help us out. But I'll read the first one because it came, I think, from the heart, which is my 2015 notes from the PBS User Group roadmap session had predictive wall times, soft, in V13 and in V14. Also 10K jobs a minute and 100K moms on V14. None of these are on the none of these are in V13, and they weren't in the V17 list. Where are they? Hold on a second. Next one. Why can't you code faster?
See, you got to stop believing the product managers. They just want to list whatever they want to do. Why don't you code faster, Bhroam?
I thought I coded fast enough. Our software process it provides quality code, so that can take time. So, at least in my opinion, it takes the amount of time it needs to take.
You don't all have to answer every question, by the way, if you want to pass the mic around. You guys don't want to say why you can't code faster? Come on.
I will probably answer it in a slightly different way. I know it's more of a rhetorical question. So we are trying to hire more people. It's of course a slow process, but once we are getting more people in our team, we will be coding faster. That's the best I can answer that.
Each customer context is so complex that we require time to be sure that we do not deliver something that breaks anything. So we need to take care of everything.
I'll just add, I think the quality point is very important here. I mean, especially for PBS Professional, where you have got like a list of platforms to support. We have a battery of automated tests, but not everything is automated. We don't have automated tests on specialized hardware like the Cray. We're getting there, of course. We don't have automated tests on Windows. It's a crazy operating system, so doesn't have a fork.
Yeah, I just have a quick question about your process for handling requests for enhancements. So, is there a waiting system, or are you looking for several customers to get behind the same request, or how does it work?
It's probably a PM question, right? Or are you talking about how we prioritize? You know what? I never understood that. So.
I mean, I don't have a great answer to that. It is a bit informal. And priorities change over time, right? I mean, that's the honest answer to some of the other questions about what happened to some of the other features that previously appeared in roadmap discussions. Is in the recent times, one of the things, and I'm not sure if this has been talked about this week or not, but there's a lot of different branches of PBS Pro right now, and we're trying to consolidate all those so that we can code faster. Because when we fix a bug, we don't just fix it in one place, we don't just fix it in two places, we have to fix it in like 7 places, which is, frankly ridiculous. So we've got, the big push now is to get off of the Cray branch, right, and merge that into mainline. I don't know if add Cray platform support to the main product, let me put it that way. So that's why we can't code faster maybe right now, and that's maybe an answer to the previous question, but the actual process, it depends on, it is weighted by customer request, of course, and it's just priorities change, and John controls the roadmap, and it comes about through a lot of wheeling and dealing. That's all I can really say. Yeah. Which feature do you want exactly? We'll talk later.
Just it's Vegas. I'm sure you could get your feature done here. All right. Oh, any other audience questions here? Want to go?
This isn't really for them, but it just struck me that are any of these old RFEs or old bugs made public like the open source is, so that people can go and look and go, oh yeah, this RFE that someone mentioned 10 years ago actually would be useful to me. I don't know.
Was there a question in there?
So the question is, well, what about all these old RFEs and stuff? Is this public?
I mean, the ones that are being raised now, the bugs in RFPs, they are all public. Most of them. I mean, there are a few that are commercial only, of course. The old ones?
I think some are.
Some are, yeah. The ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's.
yeah, but I mean, I don't want to. So as much as possible, we're trying to actually be open with everything and put everything into the open source project and then pull it out from there. But we did sort of one copy, although we had to be really careful because there's some proprietary data, whatever. And so if there is something that you wanted, then let us know. If it's already been filed, we'll move it over, or it may be there.
Right, so there was a move of some bugs and RFEs from proprietary Jira or from our proprietary issue tracking system into open source. Not everything, so in answer to your question, every little thing that's ever been filed is definitely not in there. Stuff that we thought was a good fit for somebody in the community might actually go work on this, that was moved there after it was cleansed. Everything we're actually working on right now is there. So there's nothing that we're really doing that relates to the product, the core product that is not there. But there's a whole bunch of stuff throughout the 20-some year history that is just, some of it's valid, but some of it's not, and it's not all in the open Jira, but basically there's a lot that's relevant that is there. Stuff that we aren't working on, and everything that we are working on is there.
I have a question for folks.
First question's good.
How many people actually belong to the PBS Pro the PBS community? The forums, where you can see our bugs, where you can chime in. Please join, because really this is how we get a lot of traction. You were asking seriously, like how do things move? How do you make things go faster? Well, actually input from you guys is how we can decide on what we really need to do and how we can move forward. So please, chime in.
And we have a workshop tomorrow to showcase how you could join the community and all that.
Yeah. The only address you need to remember is pbspro.org, and then it'll point you to the other places that you need to go.
Can I ask a question?
Was that your question, or do you want another one? Okay, go ahead.
How many of you use PBS Professional on Windows?
Just for the let the record show that the only people raising their hands are from Altair.
And one of them is my boss, so I can't kill Windows. It was not proven that it will work, like. We can do more meetings now.
Okay. Switching back to the cards, just for one, and I'll hold your questions. I know you were keeping them. Detailed PBS Pro question, sorry. I'll try to say Pro. Too. Usually I actually do. That was a mistake of mine. Is there a queue manager command to reset the PBS job ID sequence?
just submit 1 trillion jobs and it will reset by itself. We are now 1 trillion. Yes. But you can also go to the database and do it.
The answer was no. The answer was no.
Wait, but I need to know, why would you do that?
Why would you do that?
There's a famous paper, 5 plus or minus 2 is the number of digits an average person can remember. So once you get to 7, 8 digits, people screw up all the time, especially including me. So being able to reset down to 4 or 5, down to 0, and then build back up again, it just is a convenience for the user.
I have an answer for that. Do you have a graphic interface? You can reference codes by name.
So so that was actually really nice of you to ask that question, because I've been trying to always have people ask why. And then as a follow-up, so if you could just type in the last digits as long as they were unique, would that be good enough? I mean, if you type in 5 digits, in your case, it's probably always going to be unique. So if you type in 5 digits, and we'll just ignore the top ones if you're only typing 5. I mean, there's a lot of other systems that do that, like.
That's kind of a really confusing sort of.
Okay, nope, that's fine.
Hey, what if you can configure that to limit to 8 digits?
All right,
So this is a really good example to bolster what was just said by Lisa. There's an active conversation going on about this pretty much exact topic today at the forums at pbspro.org about we're upping the size of the max job ID. It's the second time I've heard what you just said this week from 2 different people. I commented about it on the forum earlier from somebody else from this week. This is a really good example why you guys should subscribe. It's not overwhelming amount of mail, and you get to talk about things exactly like this with the developers and product managers and the community as a whole. So yes, there's feedback. We're changing it to like max int basically, which is a heck of a lot of digits, and there's feedback from someone else in this room that they don't want to have to think about more than 7 digits, which is exactly what you just said. So get on there and comment, because that's exactly what we want to know.
You didn't realize this panel was a way of us giving you action items. I didn't realize either, but I actually like it. I'm going to do this panel more often. We're going to have one every week now.
I actually want the feature that Bill wants, but from that Jim wants, but for a different reason. I want my numeric job IDs to be unique forever at all time. So when I change the name of my PBS server or get a new PBS server, I want to set the first job ID, which I've worked with Scott to do to modify the database to set. But it's like, why can't I just use QManager to say this is what my first job ID should be? It should be 7 digits long.
Can you guys code faster? Cool. Add that too. You can add that right now. Just go to pbspro.org.
That's the other thing. You could go and actually file an RFP for us to look at, and then.
The question was, is somebody writing this down? It's like, they're not writing them down, they're typing them in right now into the forum. It's wonderful. By the way, it's if you don't want to join, it's all on the open internet, so you can just go read stuff and you can actually see what's going on. So if you just want to lurk, you can do that. You don't need to use, you can use a Google address or something that you just made up if you just want to see what's going on and get notifications. So however you want to interact with the space. And if you just want to actually take advantage of Altair and you want to send Scott your thing so that he cleanses it and types it in, feel free to do that too. Or me. This is my last card, so I'm hesitant to use it because then I'm stuck. Okay, maybe you guys have another question. I'll go to you. Another question for them? No. Okay. So then I'm gonna.
Okay, sorry, full of questions. How many folks have hyper-threaded machines? Raise of hands. How many folks care about using your hyper-threads? Show of hands. How many want just to use the physical nodes? Oh, equal, interesting. Okay, thanks.
Well, no, that was really good. Now you know you got both ways have to be supported.
I have a question. What you guys think about this PBS Access desktop? This is really my favorite feature, as you noticed already. So you like it? Some thoughts on what we should be doing next in that space. We showed you our current state of it, but what would be the what would be additional? I hate to say additional stuff, but can you use it the way it is in your organization already, or there is something that prevents you? And if something prevents you from using what we are showing today, I would like to know it one way or the other, through PBS forum, through direct email, because we are really believing this is our next generation in our user experience, and we want to make it so that it works for people, our partner people like you. So now, later, please, any comments? Can you use it?
It's a significant step in the right direction.
It's the right direction, I agree. Like, but can you open the API so I can build my own?
API is available. We didn't talk about it, but it's also provides a RESTful API, so you can use it, and there is command line. As people like to do integrations, there is command line that wraps that API, so all entry points are available. Thank you.
So how many of you are run bio applications, bioinformatics? Anybody here? Okay. Oh, I know the answer from Roger anyway. And then the follow-up question was, how many of you who are running the bio applications want to actually use the drama interface? I asked you already, so.
Okay. We talked a little bit about open source before, so this is an open source related question. What are the challenges in managing the open source contributions? Maybe you could start by actually saying how you're managing the open source contributions, and then what are the challenges?
Well, that's more of a, the subject matter for tomorrow's workshop, really. But it's all automated, so fairly simple. There are RFPs and bugs out there in the open Jira system. You could go and log a bug. There's the community portal first, where people go and register first. They can download a build or download the sources from GitHub, look at the bugs, or file a bug, RFE, whatever, fork the repository, work on it, submit a pull request. That's the mechanics of the process, of course. What's the question again?
Okay, now, someone has already done that. What are the challenges managing what someone else has done?
Well, it's if a big work comes in, big piece of work comes in, then that causes a bunch of work for our team here, right? We'll have to review that, merge it in, and of course, test it thoroughly, stuff like that. So it could derail part of our plans a little bit. For example, somebody from the Czech Republic submitted a 1,000 file contribution, 100 file contribution about Kerberos integration. And it was just massive. And then he withdrew, and we were like, thank God. But on the other hand, there are contributions that are really very useful. For example, are very complementary, like the Debian support, fixing a bug, features that we anyway wanted. For example, those are always welcome. If the contribution is good, we will, of course, will have to, prioritize our work and sort of make sure that there's a set of SLAs we sort of internally follow, like, how quickly to get back to a feedback, comment, contribution, a pull request. We try to get back as soon as possible, even if it is to say we are looking at it, we're going to take a month to look at your code. So, what else can I tell?
I just recalled an interesting discussion between Bhroam and others in the forum, and I really like the forum because it does make everything a lot more transparent. And then I can tell when Greg is trying to introduce or get you guys to put in a feature that will mess up something that I do, like change the accounting log. Please, if you're going to do that, plenty of notice. But I recall there being a really interesting discussion about everything should be set in Queue Manager versus there's a bunch of stuff set in flat files. But I don't recall there being a good resolution. It was sort of some things were just going to have to be in flat files, and then, but other people were saying, what's the direction we're going is Queue Manager, and it sort of tailed off, or other people got busy. But I'm curious to know, what is going to go on there, like what's going to happen.
I believe RFE actually got filed for that, so the discussion will continue. It was just put on hold for whatever particular feature was trying to be introduced at that time.
Architecturally, that is the direction we want to go. That's Queue Manager. Move everything away from flat files as much as possible. Doesn't matter actually where you store it, but the need to have it centrally managed by one, admin command of sorts. That's the direction we're going towards. And then, that allows us to make those all objects and attributes to objects instead of architecturally the right thing to do. About that particular one must be one of our product managers pressurizing us. That never happens.
Do you want it?
Yeah, I think it would be a good thing because I can never remember which things I need to manage in a flat file, because some things like resources you can now set via Queue Manager, but they're still in the flat file, but I'm used to using the flat file, and now I don't know. And then I want to manage the scheduler config via Queue Manager or something, rather than having this giant flat file, which has a bunch of deprecated things in it that I have to comment out because I've had it for 5 years. And holiday schedule.
In favor. One person in favor.
So there's an EDD, there's an external design proposal for exactly that, moving all the sketch configuration into Queue Manager, which, as everybody probably realizes, is going to become even more important with multiple scheduler policies and so on and so forth. But plugging the community forum again, there's an active discussion about that.
Don't make me make up Gilligan's Island questions.
I was sort of following up to ask, how much do you love or hate the different ways of setting log levels for our different daemons?
Oh, I forgot about that. Sure. Yes. I'm never going to remember the Aqua mask. Sorry.
So I forget if you've actually been part of the talks, Subhasis, with that, but NASA definitely wants, not necessarily to unify that part. You should do that anyways. No one should need to ask for that. It just should be done. But beyond that is very much fine-grained control, right? So different components of different pieces of PBS. It would be awesome to be able to log at different levels for those and not have these very high-level ways of doing that.
And I have a follow-up on that. So what I did, because I was testing job sort formulas and trying to figure out if fair share really was still happening when I had a job sort formula, I cranked up my scheduler logs to the maximum. So now they're huge, but there's tons of interesting data in there, but I don't need all of it. So there's certain things that I would like, but not other things. So yeah, the finer grain, the better.
I mean,
open up an RFP, Greg.
Instead of octal, we could have a 3,000-bit by 11 bits.
Well, the last time I tried setting scheduler log settings, there is no right setting. Either it's too much or too little, and there's really nothing in between. So I'm not sure what the answer there is, but really what I want to know more than anything else is, what was the last list of jobs that you looked at? What was the decision on each job? I don't necessarily need that in a permanent log. So there's something to be said for having a file that gets overwritten every time, or a tool that would let me just make that sort of query, or something that says, hey, next time the scheduler runs, write this file that's going to give me this information. Because again, I've had crazy huge scheduler logs before. So I think that's an area where we could discuss on the forum.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know if there's an open RFE or an open thing. Okay, well, it might be worth opening up a discussion on the forum. You're just yelling. Okay.
I mean, just to add, like, we are looking at, you know, from the architects that are here, we have been discussing a lot about how to, you know, make these things better, right? The logging library itself, to use something that's more amenable to, you know, different log destinations, like the open source log libraries. Like, you can write to a socket syslog, or to, you know, send it to a remote machine and stuff like that. Our logging is obviously a little primitive because, you know, we never get a chance to work on our logging itself. So yeah, those are all wish lists we have.
So speaking of wish lists, well, you can follow up first.
Sorry, just following up. Sorry to keep saying on the forum, but every new feature that we're adding now, we also say, here, this is the log message, this is the log level. And so if you want to chime in about that, for especially not adding to the problem, if you will, please do.
So if you could just following up on what you said, you couldn't work on something, but you'd love to work on it. What would each of you actually go work on if you could go sort of work on one thing? What would the thing that you would, you know, if the product manager came to you and said, okay, go fix something. I don't have time to tell you what to do. Go fix something that you need to fix, or go improve something that you need to improve. What would you attack? Silence.
No, I haven't. In fact, one of the features, or at least our development, our CI, and our production can be useful, is the fact to generate dynamically this golden image to fast the deployment itself. Because currently with PBS Cloud, as we are deploying the operating system and next using some configuration manager to set up everything as state of the art, we have sometimes a deployment that can spend 20, 30 minutes. And most of case, we want to be quicker than that. We want to deploy something in 5, 6 minutes. So it's a good challenge and really useful for everybody.
Okay, I would work on managed data transfer, both in PBS context and PBS front-end products. It's really something that
So you mean PBS Pro?
PBS Pro. Thank you, Bill. Thank you. You got me. Yes. So in the context of front-end products, all this access and such, I want to make sure that files are available when job needs to run, or when user wants this data on his laptop, and you connect your laptop and it automatically is delivered to you, even if you disconnect it and later come back. It still happens for you, instead of you as a user worry about, is it transferred? So we work too much for computers. Computers should be working for us. So this is one of the things that really we haven't started looking into it, but other priorities are holding us away from.
Okay, so this assumes that, you know, we've finally managed to actually get all of the Cray support into mainline. The thing I'd like to work on next would be to, there's a more brief version of how Cray can talk to PBS, and I'd love to implement that.
Okay, I might want to work on the predictive analysis of to understand how much power the future job's going to consume.
Oh, we've already talked about mine. I want to fix something I was one of the problems I added right when I wrote the scheduler. I shouldn't have written a file. I should have moved configuration right into Queue Manager.
Sorry, you shouldn't have written the scheduler?
No, I should have written the scheduler. I shouldn't have made the configuration a file.
Like to work on many things. I don't know, containers, orchestration. But I think one thing that is really broken in PBS is, well, not broken, really not so good, is the failover. The active-passive failover. You set it up, it works as such, and then a year, and you test the failover by doing a failover and a fallback, and then you forget about the secondary. A year later, when you actually have the disaster, or the primary fails, I mean, you have made changes to the systems and not exactly in sync and doesn't work anymore. So what I would like to do is convert that into more like active-active configuration, load balancing, symmetric, servers, multiple servers.
Why do we have product managers when this sounds like a great set? Anyway. All right. Quit. I'm out of questions, but I'm looking to the field, looking around. Okay, I'm gonna give you homework in the next exciting episode. You guys, anything to ask the crowd? All right, I declare this panel over. Thank you, guys.